Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to the penultimate race of the FRS Division 5 season here in Montreal, Canada. Just 2 races to go, and it is all to play for the title. I am Harringzord, and I am joined once again by McNugget.
See if Division 5 can go back to back, or if the usual chaos will ensue.
There he is. I forgot to change my audio settings so they couldn't hear you. Trying to mute the Nugget. Can't be done.
Can't be done. Yes, as I was saying, after a reasonably clean race last week for Division 5, it'll be interesting to see if they can keep that up, or if it'll be back to the usual chaos and disaster that we expect from them.
Well, based on what we've seen so far here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, I think we might be set for the return of the Division 5 shambles. But I don't want to promise too much just yet. I don't want to get your hopes up and these guys let you down. But it's a difficult circuit, this one, despite what the track map gives off to you. It doesn't look like the most difficult circuit in the world. But dearie me, the track limits around here.
Yes, mainly on the World Champions corner, so that big chicane that we're just panning over. And I believe around, I think it's the third or fourth corner, which is a fast right. You do have to be careful making sure you keep the car within the track limits.
Here is the Drivers' Championship in Division 5, and 9 points separate Ice Kid Man and T-Keg after the Ferrari drivers win in Hungary last time out. It's closed the gap up to, well, less, the single digits between them. Hercules is still in play, but he's very much on the borderline now, and nobody else can catch the Williams driver now.
Definitely, it is. It's one of these races where we're really hoping to see T-Keg pull out something magical, or it could be the end of the story with one race to go if Ice Kid Man delivers like he's done so often this season.
Van on Base's consistency has seen him overtake Nordy for 4th place in the championship. King Bart still showing his 5th, despite only competing in the first 3 races of this season. But of course, we've said last week that on the tracks with lots of track limits penalties, Ice Kid Man has tended to struggle more than those where the track limits are a bit easier to avoid, shall we say.
Yes, and definitely, based on the performance last week, I definitely on Dan Gilligan, not only possibly for overtake of the season last week, but for showing some real pace despite some penalty points. By penalty points, I mean, what's the word I'm looking for?
Time penalties.
Time penalties. A lot of time penalties, but a lot of fast pace shown by Dan Gilligan, and a finish, which is a rare thing for him so far.
Well, the Constructors' Championship looks like this. Ferrari leading the way. They've overtaken Racing Point now with 195 points to 182. It is essentially between Ferrari and Racing Point now, unless both of those teams have complete disasters in these final 2 rounds and allow Williams to sneak in. Mercedes and McLaren, just a point between them for 4th place, so still all to play for there. And then Renault and AlphaTauri in a close fight for 6th and 7th. Haas, Red Bull, and Alfa Romeo rounding out the top 10 here in Division 5. And of course, as we've said, with just 2 races to go, we've got this race in Canada and we've got next week's finale in Silverstone. And I think we're all hoping, because in Division 5, all of the races are counting towards the final championship total. So I think everybody's hoping that this one goes to the final event in Silverstone next week.
Definitely. Well, probably nobody more so than T-Keg and Hercules. And the Fears, obviously, all watching. So here we do. I'll let you talk through the permutations.
Yeah, this is what needs to happen. So Ice Kid Man can win the championship today if he wins this race and T-Keg finishes 7th or lower, or if Ice Kid Man finishes 2nd and T-Keg fails to score points. He will be champion today. T-Keg can't win it today, but of course can lose it. And Hercules, in order to remain in contention for the championship, must better Ice Kid Man's points haul today by at least 6 points. Simple as that.
Yes.
And yet, is it that simple?
Well, we will see. We will see. We'll kick this off. Normally we wait till Ice Kid Man sets the fastest lap on a qualifying before we remember. But Harringzord, what is your top 3 for qualifying going into Canada?
That's unfair, isn't it? Well, I'm gonna go for. T-Cake's not really found pole positions. It's tended to be Ice Kid Man or Hercules in recent weeks who have been the drivers to stick the thing right up at the sharp end of the grid. I'm going to go for the Williams driver again today to get that car on pole position from Hercules, and then I'm going to pick Nordy as well in the top 3 today.
So that is Ice Kid Man, Hercules, Nordy.
Yes, in no particular order. Or maybe in that order. Who knows?
And maybe in that order. Well, I think it is going to be a day of upsets. So I am going to go for Hercules, Canody, T-Keg top 3.
Interesting. Okay. So we'll see. Obviously, we're not allowed to talk about Kana at all over the course of the whole qualifying session after the Japan incident.
He did already message me saying, "Are you casting tonight?" I was like, "Yep." He's like, "Are you cursing me tonight?" Haven't decided yet.
I have the weather forecast, by the way. All dry, as usual, for Division 5. We never quite get the wet races here that we see in Division 6.
Was Mexico the last race? Oh, Roy Weller, 5-place grid penalty for contact with Ice Kid Man, both going into the pit lane. Now,
that's interesting.
That actually applies.
That might see us reset the lobby, depending on the situation there. I've seen lobby resets for that before. But it'll remain to be seen. We'll have to sort of keep our eyes peeled now in the Division 5 channel. But obviously, a 5-place grid penalty for what is essentially an installation lap is less than ideal by anybody's standards.
I'm not sure if one of them perhaps didn't press the brakes when they went into the pit lane, and that's why there was a bit of contact.
Well, very possibly. We've got 16 cars on the grid for this one. I'm just waiting to see if anything does happen with that situation with Roy Weller. We're still looking at the little view around the river actually near the circuit Gilles Villeneuve.
Yes.
And yeah, a bit of a view around the circuit on a lovely summer's day, which is what we're expecting this afternoon. No chance of rain in this one. Your track guide looks a little bit like this. So it's 4.3 kilometers this track, 3 DRS zones, which is a significant amount actually. And not many corners, a lot of left rights and right lefts, but we would certainly expect to see plenty of overtaking here, or certainly close action, and plenty perhaps of this thing, the FIA safety car.
Yes, indeed. Not a lot of overtaking positions, apart from probably you'd say the Casino Straight. Apart from that, there is a lot of tight, fast corners. So if there is going to be overtaking, Division 5, knowing them, there's probably going to be contact, and then that leads to safety cars. I'm not saying we're going to have spa levels of contact, but we're probably going to have spa levels of contact.
All right.
Chat is saying that music is gone. I don't hear background music, like race music. We don't hear the... Oh,
I think we're pulling through the sound. As far as I'm aware, we're pulling through the sound. As we see some cars, I think it's...
lying.
It's Dan Gilligan that's the first car out onto the circuit today. And of course... Well, I mean, me and you, we don't really know anything about strategy around here. This is a wonderful camera angle that we're getting. But of course, the Division 6 race that we've just competed in was wet all the way. So the whole two-stop thing, out the window for us.
I think I did 6 stops. I would say strategy, don't get yeeted into the barrier, turn lap 3. That's my advice on strategy.
Yes. Well, I'd say that's certainly solid advice. Pole positions this season look like this. Ice Kid Man has 5 of them. And in the past 6 races since Mexico, Ice Kid Man has 4 and Hercules has 2, which makes it very, very difficult to bet against Ice Kid Man or Hercules today. But that's exactly what Nugget's doing.
Yes.
In fact, no, you picked Hercules, didn't you? So
yes,
there you go.
I said Hercules, T-Keg, and Kinodi. If I remember correctly. Although I could have lied and just made it all up.
Very possibly. So here comes Dan Gilligan, the first, very close to the wall there, as he comes to sector 1 and into the left-right of what I think is either 5-6 or 6-7. Can't remember. Curved back straight. This is one of the 3 DRS zones, and you've got to be careful going into this right-left. A, for track limits. B, there is a really awkward wall on the left-hand side of the braking zone that if you're not paying enough attention, it is very, very easy to clip as you are braking for that corner.
Is that speaking from experience here? Now, Dan Gilligan might get a bit of a toe from Cookie. Oh, that was very close going past there.
Yeah, back straight is the 3rd DRS zone on the lap, or perhaps the 2nd, depending on where you consider your DRS zones to be, because the last one is the start finish straight. And there's an invalidation on the final chicane, which I was about to say is very easy to do.
Very easy indeed. Somerset having a bit of a spin and validating his lap there.
Bit of traffic around the back end. We've got a few cars on medium tyres. TK and one of the McLarens on the medium tyres. Roy Weller just ahead of him on the road. You can see the Williams of Ice Kid Man just behind TK. So we're going to get a chance to look at these two straight away. Daft sets the first time lap of the session. Yep. TK doesn't invalidate. Mahoney does a 109.7. TK's on the mediums. Ice Kid Man is on the softs. And Ice Kid Man goes quickest on a 109.2.
See, we have a few other cars just coming around now. I believe it is one of the Alpha Tyleries and Cookie.
Well, Cookie's invalidated. Jock James coming down the back straight now. Hercules still showing us in the pit lane.
Oh, Ice Kid Man has went up to a 109.216. And Jock James coming across, it'll be close.
110.2. P4. Nordy's gone into 3rd place, so 3 drivers into the 1 minute 9s. Not a lot of times on the board, actually, considering we've had about 5 minutes of this session. Hummerstep is back in the pits. Mahoney is recovering to the pits. There's a time gone in from Iana 5, who goes into P3. We are missing a Reef today as well.
Yep. And Jukes as well. Unfortunately, couldn't make it.
A Reef, I should point out, has unfortunately had to retire from the rest of this season as he has exams coming up in real life. So we wish a Reef the best of luck with his exams, and it's been a great pleasure to have him a part of the division this season.
I did offer to have us commentate his exams if he wished, if he was allowed to have co-casters whilst doing them, to just, motivate him a bit going through them, but sadly that wasn't allowed by the university.
It's worth asking, right? It is worth
it.
So 9 times on the board out of the 16 drivers we've seen. Hercules is the 3rd championship contender, and realistically Hercules needs to win this race if he wants to have any chance of being in the title fight when we go to Silverstone in a week's time.
Yes, definitely. Hercules really is fighting to keep it a 3-man fight here. I will say big shout out to Iana 5, probably the driver of the week last week in the Hungaro. Very clean race, very quiet race, went about their business and got a very good finish, so showing some good pace here as well in Montreal, Canada.
Yeah, Iana 5 really in the running for one of the most improved drivers this season. So has really struggled in the opening races, and then when we came back from the first break week in Mexico, was a lot quicker. Hercules now, the championship contender, currently in 3rd place in that championship. We're just watching him on board on his quick lap as we come down the DRS zone. That's that wall on the left-hand side. Very easy to break track limits here. And the track limits are a little weird on this track. You can sometimes get an invalidation or a penalty when you've actually got 2 wheels still on the circuit.
Yeah, it's very strange that corner, but you've got to make sure you keep that car in between the lines. Now Hercules looking fast here at the moment. We'll see if he can carry that through down the Casino Straight and at the Wall of Champions, and hopefully not go into the Wall of Champions.
Yeah, so if you're wondering what we mean by the Wall of Champions, it is the wall on the outside of this chicane that is infamous for being crashed into by people who then go on to win Formula 1 championships. Hercules sets a 109.4, and that is the front row for the Racing Point driver. Very, very good lap.
Indeed, indeed. With a bit of pace probably still out there to find to put Ice Kid Man under a bit of pressure.
So Ice Kid Man still a couple of tenths clear. Evil Steel goes into 10th.
Hammersep just coming up the casino straight. Going into the chicane. Not a particularly fast time by the looks of things. And he hits the wall.
Into the wall of champions.
I'm sure that would be the first time you're saying that.
He still goes 8th, impressively.
Yes.
We'd rather do that in qualifying, I suppose, than in the race.
Indeed. Hercules and Ice Kid Man just bringing the cars back to the pit lanes by the looks of things. Kana making a run here, going up the casino straight. Hopefully he will get through the chicane with no problems and not clip the wall, but he has invalidated though. So he's going back into the pits.
Yeah, we're not going to fare on in the Williams currently. He's just the back part of the circuit.
Dan Gilligan with a 109.5 to take 4th from Mahoney.
Good lap. Yeah, good lap again from Dan Gilligan, who I imagine Ice Kid Man, he won't want to be anywhere near him today. After their slobber knocker of a fight last week.
Honestly, potentially overtake of the season was Dan Gilligan on the outside round, finding space where nobody thought there was any, and keeping the move. It was phenomenal at times.
Here's Ferron in the second Williams, who's done well since coming into the division. This is only his 3rd race in Division 5, up to P8 with that time. The most impressive time, I think, Nordy. Did Nordy set that time on the medium tyre, or has Nordy just gone out on the medium tyre at this stage of the session?
I believe he's just went out on the medium tyre on this stage of the session.
Now T-Keg improving. T-Keg's moved to the softs, realising that the mediums are not going to be any good at all, and T-Keg now improves up to 7th. That's not ideal for the Ferrari driver with Ice Kid Man at the front of the field.
Indeed. Iana coming through Sector 1 is 200th up. So he's going to need to find a bit more time if he wants to improve on that 5th place.
Ice Kid Man's invalidated his second run. Van on base in 6th ahead of his Ferrari teammate. And we have a chance to look at Iana 5 now. Yep. The Irish driver for Alfa Romeo. The only Alfa Romeo left in the field. He's a little deep into the hairpin there. But now it'll be full boost and DRS open down the back straight. Plenty of space ahead of him. And it's just picking your braking point for the final chicane. Here comes the Alfa Romeo. Gets that fairly clean through there. Difficult to see from that angle. Keep to the right-hand side for the quickest route to the line. And front row. A 109.3. What a lap.
Indeed. Mahoney coming through as well, just coming through Sector 2, already 1/10 up, which would help him hopefully steal back a 4th place from Dan Gilligan if he finds a wee bit more time. Just coming round the Le Bengal, I believe it is, into the Casino Straight.
So Roy Weller pits. Van on base bailed out of a lap there, I think. So we'll have a look at Mahoney, who's just coming down towards the final chicane in the Mercedes.
It's a big cut there.
He's invalidated there.
Big cut.
So who else we got on the circuit? I think Cookie is on the track at the moment, and he's found half a second, as you can see on the timing screen in the top right. Cookie comes into the final chicane. He's been a good qualifier, Cookie. We've struggled to see him really make that in the race. Decides at the last minute to go over to the right-hand side for the shortest route. That's not really how you do it.
No.
Right, Hercules beginning his next attempt. Needs to find a couple of tenths now to snatch a provisional pole away from Ice Kid Man. The last thing that T-Keg and the last thing that Hercules want is that Williams on pole position.
Indeed. Now Hercules probably, I think this is going to be his last set of fresh softs, depending on what he picked up. So, really need to make sure he makes these count on these qualifying laps at the moment.
Oh, there's the back end sticking out. That'll cost him a couple of tenths there, so he'll bail out of that lap. Yeah, that won't do at all. His time delta will be much too slow to have improved on this lap, and Hercules bailing out of that one. The curse of the onboard lap strikes once again.
Yes, the curse of the commentator.
I think Evil Steel's the only driver on a quick lap at the moment.
Hammersep as well, who's 2/10 up on his last time. Still put him just a 1/10, so that put him just inside the top 10. If he can just grab a wee bit more time to jump Ferron, we'll see how he does coming up the Casino Straight, and if he can avoid the wall this time.
Yes, so we can see from the onboard shot here, just how difficult it is to see the braking zone.
No, he totally got that wrong.
That wasn't it, was it?
That was not the braking zone whatsoever.
Evil Steel bails out of his lap, and coming across the line is Nordy, I think, looking to start his... He's on the medium tyres again, Nordy, or has switched to the mediums before.
Yeah.
McLaren... Now, strategy-wise, you've got a 2-stop here, which is like a soft, medium, or I suppose medium, soft, if you prefer. The medium hard is apparently quick enough, but I don't think it's quick enough that you would want to qualify on the medium tyres.
Yes.
The pit lane is quite short here because the pit lane cuts out the final chicane and cuts out the first 2 corners as well, so you gain quite a bit of time back.
Indeed. You're not doing what you'd normally do, so yes. It is interesting. It will be, I think, a lot of it, depending on how the qualifying sets up here, a lot of it have been down on a T-keg to make something happen, just as Ice Kid Man invalidates this lap that he was out on at the moment.
Ooh, another invalidation from Ice Kid Man, but it's whether anyone can beat him. Kana's gone 4th.
Kana up 4th. Kana showing that he is curse-proof this weekend so far by going up to 4th.
As long as we don't watch him, he's got all the speed in the world.
No, I'm just going to have to watch him for a wee bit here just to see how he does.
Here's Nordy at the final chicane. We'll see if this is an improvement. It might sneak into the 109. It's up to P6 on a medium tyre. That's a very, very good lap from Nordy.
That could be ideal for that medium hard setup that you were talking about there earlier on, Harringzord.
That's a very, very good time on the medium. But of course, it's can we hang on to that position? Will anybody behind improve? The big shock at the moment is TK, who is due the final chicane now on a new set of softs, looking to improve from P10 on the grid in the Ferrari, and that'll do it, front row.
Oh, showing some pace right when it matters there from TK. And Hercules will probably want to get back out and put an answer of his own down. But that was a great qualifying, just when the pressure was on TK delivering in that Ferrari.
Roy Weller into the final chicane. We've not really seen much of Roy Weller in recent weeks in Division 5. He started off as a driver with quite a lot of pace. As he goes P8 here. I don't know whether it's a lack of time to practice in recent weeks or maybe the circuits just haven't been to his taste, but he's found himself towards the back of the field rather than the front recently. Now, Hercules begins what... Well, he's got a chance here to, if he gets this wrong early in the lap, he can bail out and go again.
Yes. It'll be his tyres, because this will be at least his 4th run. So he will be using... He will be probably
look at that. Early invalidation. So I think this is only Hercules' 3rd run. So what we'll do is we'll bail out straight away on this. We'll go to lean fuel mode. We'll go straight into no use of ERS. And we will just save this. And we'll be able to have another go with the minimum possible fuel in the car. So Yana 5 still in 3rd is the real wild card and has found 3/10 in the first sector alone.
As Van on base is coming across the line, currently in 10th and stays in 10th.
We need to keep an eye on this lap from Yana 5 and the Alfa Romeo. This looks very, very quick.
This could be sub 1.9.
He's half a second up.
This is, do not curse him. Maybe we shouldn't look at him going through the World Champions.
But we can't take our eyes off this. This is one of the laps of the season up to this point. But there's still 2 corners to go. And the Yana 5 is coming down the back straight now. Just got to pick out that braking spot for the final chicane. He's got time to play with. Yana 5 keeps to the right-hand side. He picks up a little bit of the grass, but across the line, and it's a 109.2. Yana 5 on pole position by 0.02 of a second.
Oh, wow. Whatever the Yana 5 has done over the last 2 weeks, keep it up. Because this has been phenomenal performance from the Irishman.
Cat, meet pigeons. Ice Kid Man begins his final attempt in this. Well, again, like Hercules, he's actually got time to bail out and have another go. But we've had 2 invalidations from Ice Kid Man already in this qualifying session, which also doesn't bode well for the race. Because it's easy
just coming up Casino Straight now, though. He is about 800th down, so there's not a lot of pace here. He might steal a 3rd. He could steal 2nd if he had some a lot of pace here on the last couple of corners.
TK, I don't think he'll have time to go again. Hercules probably won't have enough fuel in the car to be able to go again. Needs a mighty final sector here. Wants to keep that all the way to the right-hand side. Hercules across the line for Racing Point and does not improve. Lost a second in the end. So it's all down to the man with 5 pole positions this season, and he's found a 10th in the first 2 sectors of this lap. Ice Kid Man, he needs to find 3,000ths of a second as he comes down the back straight.
Through the wall of champion chicane. That is the main obstacle. And
on
that
the brakes.
Oh, he gets away with it.
Yeah, so Ice Kid Man all the way to the line now. This might be good enough. Ice Kid Man across the line. It is pole. Once again for the Williams by 0.2 of a second.
Monster time there from Ice Kid Man. Just when it's in doubt. Canary coming now already 1/10 up on his last time. Would possibly put him up into 7th, depending on how he does here on those soft tyres though.
Yeah, so Nordy has gone for the soft tyres now. He's down to P8, which probably wouldn't work for that medium-hard strategy. You'd be too far back. He's found a bit of time in the first sector. I didn't actually see his time through sector 2, but he's got plenty of space in front of him. Does the McLaren driver, and a chance to get up in and amongst the top 4 and cuts the chicane. So Nordy will unfortunately start in 8th place. Well, he might actually have time to go again. He crosses the line with 2 seconds to go.
Steal it across, or TK just misses out on being able to go round again.
Evil Steel goes 3rd.
Wow.
Well, Evil Steel got a massive tow from the Ferrari that was trying to get to the line. And Evil Steel goes into P3.
Yeah. I'm not sure that's what T-Keg envisioned doing that lap. There was putting somebody in front of him.
The 2 Mercedes are still out on quick times. Homicep right at the back at the moment. Cookie won't start any higher than 15th. And Ferron down in 14th place at the moment. He's just coming into the final chicane and has invalidated his time. So it's can Mahoney break into the top 10 for Mercedes?
Now, Mahoney has struggled a bit so far with the World Champions. I'm not sure if it's a Canadian thing or an American thing having to turn around corners, but we'll see how he gets across here.
Mahoney across the line, and it's P4. Homicep just behind has invalidated and will start last for this Canadian Grand Prix. So it is Ice Kid Man on pole from, get this, Iona 5, Evil Steel, and Mahoney. Your top 4. T-Keg and Hercules, who, remember, realistically need to be beating Ice Kid Man in this race, start 5th and 6th.
It just shows when it comes down to the pressure moments, Ice Kid Man is usually there delivering the goods, whereas T-Keg and Hercules have struggled in those key moments. But we'll see what happens on the track, on the race, and what happens when it matters.
Best qualifying of the season for Evil Steel, possibly by about 5 or 6 places on the grid. But it is Ice Kid Man on pole for Williams with a 109.002 from Iana 5, Evil Steel, Mahoney, T-Keg, Hercules, Karner, Jock James, Dan Gilligan, and Nordy making up your top 10. Nordy, having invalidated that lap, will start on the medium tyres for this race.
Elliot just raiding us at the moment with a party of 15, so you've came to us just as qualifying has finished with the times on the board. The real contenders you're looking at the moment are Ice Kid Man, the championship leader, and T-Keg and Hercules, the chasers.
Yeah, we have... There's only those 3 drivers are the only 3 that are in contention for the championship. But those drivers in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th are now real wildcards. And I have to say, no more so than Evil Steel.
No, it does look a wee bit overcast at the moment.
Evil Steel has been in a few first corner incidents this season. And if you're up the front, maybe... that's exactly what you don't want.
Well, it's maybe what T-Keg and Hercules that want exactly. But we will see. It's looking a bit overcast, I believe. Did you say earlier on, Harringzord, we're not expecting rain, though?
We're not expecting rain, but old Jeff has been wrong before, hasn't he? So it remains to be seen whether or not there will be rain in this session. As we go across to the starting grid, it is Ice Kid Man on pole position.
Let's hope that we have no troubles by anybody going round on the introductory lap. Loyweller did in fact get a grid penalty, so Homicep does start 15th, not 16th.
Indeed. So, if you're wondering what the situation is, in the Division 5 Drivers' Championship looks a little bit like this. So here's the permutations for you. Ice Kid Man wins the championship today if he wins this race and T-Keg finishes 7th or lower. Or Ice Kid Man can also win the championship with a P2 today and T-Keg failing to score points. Easily done around here. Hercules, meanwhile, must score a minimum of 6 points more than Ice Kid Man today to remain in contention for this championship. We have got some drivers out of position on the grid to what we would normally expect. Iana 5 with a stunning lap, only to be picked by Ice Kid Man by a couple of tenths in the end.
Indeed, as is Evil Steel. Now, top 9 on the soft tyres, followed by Canurdi and Van on base on mediums in 10th and 11th.
Yeah, so no, they actually qualified on the medium tyres, tried to improve on the soft, and invalidated that lap.
Yep, so possibly going for that medium hard run. Notables outside the top 10 that have taken the softs over the medium. We have Daft in 12th on soft and Hummerset 15th on soft. 10 and above all start on the medium tyres.
It is Division 5. It is the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal. Are we going to keep it out of the barriers? Or are we going to see 2 or 3 safety cars today?
You will see, indeed.
So, cars at the back of the grid just lining up now. Roy Weller will be the last to line up on the grid for this Canadian Grand Prix. The penultimate race of the FRS Division 5 season. 5 lights are on. It's lights out and away we go in Canada, and Ice Kid Man gets away all right. Evil Steel seems to make a very good start behind as they go down into turn 1. Ice Kid Man leads from Iana 5, but he's off the track. Contact between Mahoney and Evil Steel, the Red Bull driver alongside the Alfa Romeo. And as we go down into turn 3, Evil Steel thinks better of it. Corner is up to 6th. Dan Gilligan in 5th place. Corner now missing that corner, and there's a few cars wide here. We can see T-Keg has dropped down the field a little bit. Hercules seems to be up, fighting T-Keg a little bit up the roads. So T-Keg 5th and Hercules 6th. The timing tower's all over the place here. We've got Daft around at the back of the field and recovering to the circuit. Now, Ice Kid Man leads from Iana 5, and we've got a virtual safety car, presumably.
So we get to do this all over again.
Virtual safety car, I think, for the Daft incident at the back of the field. So the big winners there off the line were
T-Keg overtaking Hercules.
Hummerset
has jumped from 14th to 9th.
Yeah, Karner lost out. He's down to 13th, Karner. We are green and we're 3 wide on the back straight. Look at this. Mahoney with T-Keg on the inside, Hercules on the outside. And how we all got through there, I have no idea. But T-Keg is now going backwards as we come down the main straight. Look at this in the background. Nordy on the inside, and Nordy makes contact with Jock James and thankfully Ghost because he's in the middle of the circuit. It's all kicking off once again in Division 5.
They cannot leave it alone, can they?
But T-Keg is really out of position now, with Ice Kid Man in the lead of this race.
Hercules is hunting down Evil Steel at a rate I've never seen before. Hercules, a driver possessed, looking to make the move up the inside, going down into the Lepinga, which he has done cleanly and smoothly.
Hercules up into P3 already, but he's got about 5 seconds to make up to the leader of this race, Ice Kid Man, who has done his usual stick of jumping away from everybody at the start, Sebastian Vettel style, and building a nice, comfortable lead. Hercules with it all to do here, and possibly fishing for a safety car if we can possibly get one. All of the medium runners.
About Evil Steel here may make a move before the World Champions. He's going down the right-hand side. He's got the pace.
Yeah, Mahoney through on the inside.
Evil Steel has went into the pits.
Evil Steel pits. Possible wing damage on that Red Bull, and that allows all of these guys to come through. Mahoney back up into 4th position with T-Keg, of course, who, well, as it stands, the championship would still be alive into Silverstone, but of course if T-Keg finishes 7th or lower, Ice Kid Man will be champion today. So the Ferrari driver with it all to do, and to be honest, the top 2 are sailing away from Hercules back in P3.
just as I catch up, it was wing damage on the front left of Eagle Steel. That's why he's pitched. So new wing on for him.
Van on Base has made a great start. He's up into 7th place, and on that alternate strategy, Cookie has been a big winner off the line as well. The AlphaTauri up 6 places. Homosep also up 6 places from the back of the grid, and Van on Base all over the back of the lead AlphaTauri. Jock James.
Homosep made a move on the inside of the hairpin at Eppingham on Mahoney, but can he make it down the straight?
Yeah, T-Keg is through. And has the DRS as well, so no chance for Mahoney there. We've got Van on Base fighting behind against Jock James.
Oh, T-Keg, big corner cut though.
We've got to watch out for those corner cuts. It's easy to pick up. There's a bit of front wing bouncing across the circuit.
Van on Base, can he make it hold? He does. Van on Base has moved up into 6th.
I didn't see whose wing that was on the main straight, but there was some wing bouncing along the circuit. Difficult to see whose that was. I'm just trying to check through all of the front runners, but the camera angles I'm being offered by this game are appalling. What's this? I can't see a thing from this angle.
Yeah, I've jumped on a few of the back cars to see if I can spot it for us.
It's not the leader. Looking at Hercules' car now. His wing seems to be okay as well. Van on Base has cleared Jock James, as we saw. So on the medium tyres, Van on Base going very, very well here.
Yeah, it could of course have been Evil Steels who did go into pit to change his front wing.
Got a fight at the back of the field here between Daft and Karner. I just noticed they were very close on the mini-map. Iona's made a big mistake in the final chicane, and Ice Kid Man now has a 3-second lead. He's out of that time penalty window now.
Yep, Ice Kid Man showing
Homosep
a lot of early
pits.
pace.
Might have been Homosep's wing in that case.
Yeah, I have an eye on that.
Ferron is in behind as well. Yeah, you can see this damage on the front end of Homosep's wing.
Yellow sector 3, but I just think it's maybe a car going a bit slow. By the looks of things, nothing to worry about. But yeah, Kana on Daft. We'll see if Kana can make the pass with DRS. Coming up to the chicane of the World Champions. Slowly catching up. Don't think he's going to make it this corner. No, he's looking though. He's looking. That's going to be a big cut.
That was a huge cut, wasn't it?
I would not be surprised if he has to give that place back, but apparently not.
Well, I mean, he's gained a lot of time on Daft, who was presumably keeping well out of his way there. I think Nordy has possibly had an incident. Yeah, lots of wing damage for Nordy. Look at that. Because he dropped miles back from Roy Weller, and that's huge damage on the front of Nordy's car. Van on Base, meanwhile, side by side with Mahoney, as we come down the back straight. The Mercedes on the grass, and the two AlphaTauris having a bit of a fight in the background as well. Van on Base going so well on these medium tyres.
Unbelievably so, you know, shows some great pace. Could go the medium hard route as well and do make a big surprise. Maybe want to look for later down the laps. I
think Jock James has let Cookie go behind because Cookie is on that alternate strategy with the mediums. So AlphaTauri just playing the team game there. They've got a bit of a cushion, 6-second cushion back now to Roy Weller, who is in 9th place, and Nordy into the pits for McLaren. Plenty of wing damage already in this one. This race might look, as Homosep is the first to pick up a time penalty for multiple warnings. This race might look like it's all said and done, but there's a chance of a safety car at any given moment here.
Indeed, and T-Keg starting to hunt down Hercules. Needs to find some pace to try and catch up to at least getting some DRS. I hope Hercules does make a mistake. Could also see the potential when if Van on Base catches T-Keg to give each other a carry through the DRS trains, but we'll need to see something from T-Keg because at the moment he's needing a catch up into those points.
I'm beginning to sense that the soft tyre runners are starting to struggle in this race as Hercules pits for Racing Point. Just as I say that, he wants off those soft tyres and onto the mediums, possibly looking for an undercut on Iona 5, but was quite far back to be able to make that happen. Hercules to the medium tyre as we see Cookie and Mahoney continuing their fight into turns 1 and 2. It's still cloudy.
Ice Kid Man already pulled out a 5-second gap, with Iana pulling the same gap to T-Keg rather. So some big gaps being pulled out already by these runners.
Yes, it's already looking like a race that possibly needs a safety car to spice it up. But we're on lap 7 out of 35 at a track where there's walls right on the side of the circuit. Cookie to the inside, and there is a yellow flag. Roy Weller is facing the wrong way.
And he's stuck on track and doesn't... Oh, his car wasn't moving, but
that was fine. That was a safe rejoin there from McLaren. He waited until the circuit was clear. He's now just trying to rejoin as slowly as he can. Loses out to Hummersett. It doesn't generate a safety car. I didn't see whether there was any damage on the McLaren. It might have been contact. He on a 5 speeds in their pit lane.
That's not what you want to see, being up in second place. It's a needless time.
Well, that'll let Hercules through. But of course, Hercules is out of championship contention if he fails to beat Ice Kid Man today. That being said, I don't think you serve the 5 seconds in the pit lane, do you? Hercules coming into the first corner now. We're on a 5 on the exit of the pit lane. This undercut is going to be a very close run thing. And the Alfa Romeo has it, but does have a 5-second penalty against his name.
Well, yes. So he does now have the 5-second penalty. So whether he serves it on the next... I believe that he can serve it on the next pit-in if he wants.
Hummersett coming out just behind his teammate there. Hummersett on the mediums. Everyone's going to the medium tyres except Ferron now, who has gone to the hards. And Van on base, I mean, an 11-second lead for Ice Kid Man at this point. I know other people have stopped, but it is looking very, very comfortable for the Williams.
Indeed. And Van on base is almost within a second. He isn't within a second of T-Keg now.
The leader pits.
It will be interesting to see what the Ferraris do here, because T-Keg is the one that needs the points to keep in with the championship.
I imagine T-Keg will pit here as well. Yes, T-Keg does pit just behind Ice Kid Man going to the medium tyre. We will see what T-Keg does for Ferrari. And he's gone to the medium tyre as well. Soft, medium, medium. Very much the most popular strategy here. And that gives Van on base the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix. Ice Kid Man will have more than enough time on the exit of the pit lane here. But he does come out behind Cookie, which might cost him a little bit of time if he can't clear that AlphaTauri quickly. Meanwhile, main straight, there's action. Evil Steel, Jock James, Mahoney and Hummersett all involved.
Yep. All training each other. Evil Steel catching a bit of grass there, will slow his escape out of the first couple of corners there. Jock James looking to make a move. Evil Steel picks up time penalties as well now. So 3-second time penalty for Evil Steel.
There's a mistake from Jock James there, and he's got both of those Mercedes all over his gearbox. Oh, slight slip from Mahoney. That might allow Hummersett a chance, but Hummersett kind of had a bit of a moment in sympathy himself. So it's the status quo for now. On the back straight, we've got Ice Kid Man and Cookie side by side. As we come down towards the final chicane of the Williams is clearly through very, very comfortably.
Right up behind Jock James here, so it will be interesting to see how this DRS change follows, and that's the fastest lap by Jan as well. So Jock James looking to make a move, doesn't have the pace. Mahoney sniffing about.
Mahoney thinks better of that one.
Steel, whoa! It looked like there was Evil Steel braking heavily to avoid making any mistakes, causing the cars behind to do the same.
Well, I think Jock James was late on the brakes. Mahoney actually picked up a time penalty there for cutting the corner, trying to avoid getting into an incident with Jock James. Yeah. That'll be a frustrating one for the Mercedes driver. Daft picks up a time penalty now, fighting Dan Gilligan at the back.
Potentially, though, opportunity for that 3-second penalty to be removed from Mahoney if the stewards deem that he did the right thing by trying to avoid contact.
Well, only if he doesn't cut any more corners across the whole of the race. But he's right up behind the AlphaTauri. Jock James seems to be struggling on these medium tyres, and Evil Steel, the cork in the proverbial bottle here. Oh, there's that wall I was talking about. Mahoney's hit it. That wall just on the outside of turn 8. I think that's turn 8. But it's so easy if you're following the car behind to just... It sort of juts out a bit, that barrier. Ice Kid Man with the fastest lap of the race. There is no damage by the looks of things to the Mercedes. Looks like we got away with that one. But he's got his teammate right on his tail. Hummersett going to the outside. Mahoney defending to the inside. The Mercedes are side by side. And Hummersett is through. Evil Steel. Oh, Evil Steel was parked on the apex of that corner. And Hummersett runs straight into the back of him.
Wow. Hummersett now, of course, does get the move on the inside going into turn 1.
Yeah, but the significant wing damage on that Mercedes, it looked to me like Evil Steel was slow, trying to avoid contact with Jock James, and Hummersep was taking the racing line as you normally would, and there was a Red Bull just parked on the apex.
I expect a few words in German to have been uttered there in frustration by Hummersep.
Well, we had a 5 to the inside of Cookie with a bit of a lunge at the hairpin. We just caught that one in time. The Alfa Romeo was through, but he needed that because Hercules is starting to catch him up.
Mahoney does have front wing damage as well. On the front left, Mahoney does have some wing damage there as well, so will cause him some issues. To try to see if Hummersep does as well. Hummersep also has front left wing damage again.
Here's Ferron fighting Roy Weller. Ferron on the hard tyres. I'm interested to see whether he's going to try and go the hard tyre. That was way too late on the brakes from Ferron. Roy Weller avoiding that, and Carner gets up past the pair of them. Ferron now getting back up to speed. Iona gets a 3-second time penalty, for multiple warnings. But on the back straight, we've got Dan Gilligan fighting both the McLarens, and it's a double pass from the Renault, is it? Into the final corner. That's looking a bit spicy. Dan Gilligan's through, but there's time penalties galore there. Both Renaults and both McLarens fighting each other here.
It's all action at the moment here, and that is Van on base has just been overtaken by Ice Kid Man, despite not having pitted. So Ice Kid Man has already made up that time difference.
Ice Kid Man now has a full pit stop over Van on base.
Yeah, and
leads.
is running 6 seconds of penalty times as well. So T-Keg really needs to get this stuff sorted out.
Hercules is having a look at Cookie, who's on old medium tyres now. Yellow flag in sector 2. We've got a McLaren of Roy Weller facing the wrong way.
Yep.
He's in the barrier. Hercules gets that move done and gets past Cookie. But Roy Weller recovering to the circuit now. So Mahoney's pitted for that wing damage. Hummersep still carrying wing damage and might need to pit as well for
Evil
Mercedes.
Steel came out of that with no wing damage.
Hummersep does pit. So, plenty of shambles, but none of it causing the safety car that T-Keg and Hercules will very much be looking for here. It is one hand on the trophy for Ice Kid Man at this stage, and that is a McLaren going slowly. I think that was Nordy. No, it was Roy Weller actually going slowly on the back straight. But no harm done. The McLaren driver pits from last place. 5-second penalty, and I would perhaps suggest is going to retire the car.
Absolutely, so yes.
So no real attempt to slow that one down. In fact, no, just switching to the soft tyres and changing his wing. As Ice Kid Man
comes into pit as well.
Van Base pits from P2. Cookie's in as well, just behind him. So 14 laps the medium tyre runners have gone. Medium tyres again for the Ferrari, who will feed out into a big gap behind T-Keg. Basically, you're looking at the top 6 as it stands are the only ones that haven't really made a mistake yet in this race.
T-Keg does come out in 4th position, so ahead of Van Base and Cookie, and is going to look to chase down Hercules now and get within time speed of Iana to try and rescue this race and keep the championship hopes alive.
So 4th is better than 6th was looking for T-Keg, but this is still giving up. What would that be? Another 13 points to Ice Kid Man. The fastest lap of the race currently held by the Williams driver as well, so that's 14 points. That would be a 23-point gap going into the final race of the season. It basically means that T-Keg has to win, and Ice Kid Man has to finish 10th or lower.
We'll say nothing about a potential Van on base Alain Prost Senna moment with Ice Kid Man then.
Ultimately, in order to stop that Williams, these guys are going to need a safety car because Ice Kid Man is dominating the Canadian Grand Prix.
Indeed. Hercules is trying his best to catch up to Yana 5 here, but Yana 5 showing that good pace that they showed in qualifying to get them into the top 3 spots.
Remember, Hercules is out of championship contention. If he doesn't finish ahead of Ice Kid Man today, he needs to beat him by at least 6 points to stay in contention into the final race. So it's not looking good at this stage. But again, there is a long way to go. Nordy having a look on Carner as we come into the final corner. And Nordy makes the move stick.
Good overtake there Yes, Kana looking to see if he can get some revenge down back into turn 1 here. But Noddy just keeping that gap at a nice pace.
So the interesting thing is, with the exception of the Anna 5, it's actually the drivers at the front who haven't got any track limits penalties, and the drivers at the back who have all of the penalties and are having the worst time of it.
Indeed.
Oh, that was a McLaren. That was a Renault, sorry, into the wall. Kana there ran a bit wide. There was a big crunch of carbon fibre up against the barrier at turn 4.
Really struggling now for honouring Kana here. Yes, indeed. Ice Kid Man so far no penalties whatsoever. Iana 5 after a great drive last week, not picking up any penalties, has appeared to be a bit of a penalty magnet here in Canada. And Hercules and T-Keg needing to do all they can as Cana's really struggling to get this car around that hairpin at the end here. I imagine he will come in for a pit and get that front wing changed.
I mean, if you're Ice Kid Man now, you can afford 9 seconds worth of penalties and you would still finish ahead, well, maybe by a tenth or two of your championship rivals, as Dan Gilligan connects another time penalty as he makes a move on Evil Steel. As we go down, Evil Steel trying to switch to the inside. Yellow flag in Sector 3 is a slow-moving Mercedes who has recovered. I think that was Hummerset, who's now on the hard tyre. Kana did pit for a new set of boots and a new wing. So there's a real field spread now.
There is. Still a lot of time to go on this, almost just not even halfway through now. But all looking very good for Ice Kid Man at the moment. It's all playing into his hands with it. His to lose, really. But every time you go around that chicane at the Wall of Champions, there's always a chance that it costs you.
Just takes one mistake from any one of these 16 drivers and it could all change with a safety car or the like. But for now, as we are on lap 17 of this Canadian Grand Prix, as Hercules has a bit of a moment there, but keeps the car pointing in the right direction. Ice Kid Man leads by 7.5 seconds on the track, and Iana 5 behind him has 8 seconds of time penalties. Hercules is therefore net P2, and T-Keg is in the ballpark. In fact, no, T-Keg isn't even in range against Iana 5. He's so far back in that Ferrari. T-Keg not really having the race pace today.
Around to have another run through and potentially overtake one of the back markers in Kana, I believe.
Time penalties coming in for Evil Steel and Roy Weller, as we've got a Mercedes in the pit. I think that is Hummerset, and it may well be what we're going on to now. Medium tyres again. This is Hummerset's third pit stop of the day. And another wing change by the looks of things. Bit of a slow one, sadly, for him. We've got Nordy right up behind Evil Steelers, and then Mahoney right up behind Daft are the two biggest fights on the circuit. Mahoney is not really a passing point there. Daft leaves him space. And Mahoney, well, it was aggressive, but he gets the move done. Check in on Nordy against Evil Steel. Nordy to the inside. Oh, there's just about a car's width there. It was precisely one car's width. Nordy, he runs wide and cuts across the chicane, and Evil Steel will now fight back as we come down towards turn 1. DRS for the McLaren is good enough. And we've got Hummerset off again.
Hummerset off. Not his race whatsoever here.
Of course, even if there is a safety car, there's not a whole lot of evidence that Hercules or T-Keg would have the pace to beat Ice Kid Man.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that would maybe throw it into disarray would be if there was a change of tyres from one of them. But at the moment, Ice Kid Man doesn't have to do anything out of the ordinary. He's got first place, he's got championship points to burn, he's got pace here, so... You know, not a lot of worry for the Ice Kid Man at the moment.
Dreamify raiding us with a party of 6. Thank you very much to the very professional Elven Union recap team for joining us here.
And of course the scum that is Viking Cop.
Harsh.
But not untrue.
So Van on base has closed to within a second, near enough, of his teammate T-Keg.
Yeah.
And Hercules is closing up to the back of the Anna 5, but there's not a lot happening, is there?
No, Hercules really struggling to get those couple of tens to try and get within the DRS range. So, yeah, whether that's Hercules just struggling a bit here in Canada or just, a great drive by Iana 5 to keep him at that distance.
The 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane will be frustrating as anything for Iana 5 because this is a very, very good performance from the Alfa Romeo driver.
Indeed.
But of course, that 8 seconds is costing him. T-Keg's in the ballpark. He's about 9.3 seconds behind, so might make up that gap. Two Ferraris having a fight.
Which is not what T-Keg wants in the slightest.
Interesting to see whether Van Base decides to try and pass his teammate, or whether he just sits there. T-Keg a bit slow out of turn 2 there.
Iana 5 has made a mistake somewhere. Hercules now well within the second. Iana 5 with a bit of tank slapper. So maybe just losing some grip on those 12.
That was a bit of a move to the right-hand side. Hercules now trying to get round the outside, and the racing point is through into second place. Just keeps it within the white lines as well, and that promotes Hercules. Now, we've just got to make up. Van Base through against T-Keg as well.
Not what you want if you're T-Keg. Now, I don't know if that is just to hope that Van Base can maybe catch Ice Kid Man and slow him down, but if you're T-Keg, you're going to be hoping that Van Base gives you that position back come the end of the race.
Very possibly. There's a long gap to make up to Iana 5, isn't there? But
yeah.
Hercules, 11.4 seconds to make up on Ice Kid Man. Your best hope is to try and make up 4 of those seconds and hope... Well, in fact, not even 4 of those seconds. 8 of those seconds. 8 or 9, and hope that Ice Kid Man gets a 3-second penalty.
Yep, or that Ice Kid Man stays out a bit too late on these medium tyres and loses a bit of grip somewhere.
An 11-second undercut would be a magnificent thing. Homicep with another time penalty in last place. Really gone wrong for Mercedes. Though Mahoney is still in the points in P10 and currently on 8-lap-old soft tyres. Iana with a bit of a moment there. So we'll drop back now away from Hercules. And Iana 5 needs to manage the gap. Remember, 8 seconds of time penalty to serve means that he's currently not on the podium against 4th place Van Base.
Just as Ice Kid Man goes about yet another lap here, just ticking them off one at a time.
I think that's Homicep. No, Mahoney's in the pits, getting rid of those 8-lap-old soft tyres.
As Ice Kid Man comes in as well. Make sure he's well under that speed limit. 30 miles per hour coming into the pits.
You know what? He can afford to give up a second here. Might as well make sure you're well of that. Hercules pits as well, just behind him. And Iana 5 gets another 5 seconds for speeding into the pit lane.
Ice Kid Man has went on the hards as his third tyre choice. Hercules going back onto mediums. So if there's going to be a chance to catch Ice Kid Man, it could be if he's on the hards. But as we spoke about, those hards aren't a bad choice for Montreal.
Well, Ice Kid Man just playing it super safe at this point. Just absolutely playing it as safe as he possibly can. He doesn't need to match the guy who's 11.4 seconds behind him. He can just put on the hard tyres. The only problem for Ice Kid Man is if there's a safety car at any point soon.
Yeah. And Hercules getting straight back to work, looking to just get past the ghost of Roy Weller. She has done so with ease.
So Iana 5 did serve 5 of those seconds in the pit lane, but has to serve another 5 seconds at some point for speeding in the pits again.
Yep, indeed.
It's a silly thing to throw away 10 seconds of time on, isn't it?
It is indeed, especially how clean he was last race as well. Really disappointing probably from his point of view. Now, Hercules getting up to within a second of T-Keg here already on these fresh mediums compared to T-Keg's 13-lap ones who did not pit as well.
So T-Keg and, well, Van Base is on a slightly different strategy. His tyres are only 9 laps old. But T-Keg coming towards the end of the life of those mediums, but he's net P5 here. Well, actually, obviously with Iana's penalties, T-Keg might be a net P4, but we said before, P4 leaves him having to win the last race of the season, and Ice Kid Man pretty much failed to score.
You know, the wrong Ferrari to be out in front.
Well, you would imagine come the end of this race that Van Base would hand this position to his teammate should they not have any chance of catching any of the cars ahead, because it would just give T-Keg... I mean, I don't think it would make a lot of difference. T-Keg would then be 20 points behind, which would still require him, to win the final race of this season.
The only trouble being, of course, is Hercules catching them down at about half a second a lap here. You know, T-Keg might feel a lot more comfortable if he had that extra Ferrari buffer between him and Hercules, as T-Keg does go wide into turn 1, so it'll cost him a bit more time here.
I mean, you feel like the Ferraris right now are fishing for a safety car, but there doesn't seem to be one coming.
As much as Division 5 might try, so far they have not succeeded.
Mahoney gets through against Connor. Just pick that one up on the broadcast there. We've got Jock James and I think Nordy close together, but of course there's so many lap cars now that it is difficult to tell who's who, as Ice Kid Man puts another lap on Daft in the Haas.
And Cookie picking up a 3-second penalty there for multiple corner cut warnings. As Ice Kid Man just coming back along the casino straight towards the Wall of Champions.
So this is Cookie and Iana fighting again. Of course, Iana are on much fresher tyres. And the Alfa Romeo having a look. Overtaking, full use, DRS wide open. Cookie has the DRS as well because of the lap car of Roy Weller. And he'll, of course, have that DRS down both straights. Iana late on the brakes. And Cookie gives up that position, realising that he didn't need to fight that one too much. And Iana improves back up to P5.
Hercules now 3 seconds behind T-Keg. So
I think T-Keg is looking to go with the soft tyre here.
Yeah.
He's trying to push this all the way to lap 27, 28 and go for the soft tyre in the hope that there's a late safety car. He would be on the softs and Ice Kid Man would be on the hards. Of course, the problem is you've got to get near him.
Actually, and not only that, he's away to give up probably about 25 seconds on that pit stop alone to Hercules. So he's potentially going to be about 35 seconds behind his Ice Kid Man.
It's a short pit stop here. You're probably only giving up about 18 to 20 seconds in the pit lane. So it'll still be a full pit stop behind. I mean, Ice Kid Man is absolutely dominating this race. And what we can check in on is the gap between Hercules and Ice Kid Man, which is 10.4 seconds. So Hercules has made back a second somewhere, but it's nowhere near enough.
Hercules now 1.5 seconds behind T-Keg, so really catching up now on both Ferraris.
I think actually Roy Weller and Hummersep are fighting over last place here.
Yep, as Hummersep's away to retake second last spot.
Hummersep going for P15 on the inside of the McLaren.
Oh, contact there.
Well, there was maybe 0.9 cars widths there. Van on base with a time penalty.
Yep. And Hercules less than a second behind T-Keg.
T-Keg makes a mistake.
Yes.
Hercules is through.
Indeed, and he's got the other Ferrari in his sights. Now, we're not saying that...
Oh, and T-Keg is really struggling on these tyres. Really struggling now, the Ferrari driver, and he's losing a lot of time. Yellow flag in sector 2. It was Hummersep, I think. So we'll have to see whether T-Keg hits now. That'll be a long way to go on soft tyres. He stays out for another lap.
Yep. Hercules within a second of Van on base now. And now, I mean, Hercules showing the pace. Could he actually catch Ice Kid Man and keep his hopes alive going into the final race by overtaking Ice Kid Man at the first?
Evil Steel makes the move on Ferron. Ferron on 21 lap old hard tyres. So we've gone a long way on those things. It's not really working out for him either as Evil Steel gets through. And look at the amount of time T-Keg is losing compared to Van on base and Hercules.
I just think if Hercules gets past here on Van on base, he's got 9 laps to catch 9 seconds up on medium tyres against the hards.
What you would say, it's been a theme of this season, really, that TK, I mean, he struggled for pace in comparison to Ice Kid Man today. But his strategy calls have left a lot to be desired at various points of the season. Going to the wrong tyres at the wrong time, making stints that are lasting too long. It's his strategy calls that need to improve, and it might cost him this championship fight. Van on base pits and releases Hercules, and that, of course, implies...
And has came in. The Ferraris have got this well wrong. Both waiting now. T-Keg is going to have to sit and wait and lose more time, and the championship is basically being handed to Ice Kid Man right here with that pit stop.
Well, someone on the Ferrari pit wall has made a mistake. Where have we heard that before? So T-Keg at risk now. Cookie pitted behind him as well. They've all gone to the soft tyre, but...
Dan Gilligan out in front, but...
Yeah, Dan Gilligan's cleared them now. He's on 20-lap-old mediums, so you would expect T-Keg will be able to make light work of that Renault.
But that is very, very disastrous pit stop there from Ferrari.
I mean, he's got T-Keg now 9 seconds behind his teammate.
Yep. Which, you know, Van on base will be in no hurry to give back if T-Keg's not getting. Now, I suppose the only hope for these guys out behind in T-Keg and Hercules is that Ice Kid Man potentially picks up a penalty or two going round the Wall of Champions, or there is a safety car. I think Hercules really hoping for a safety car so that he can take advantage of these mediums.
T-Keg making the move. He's got so much more grip than Dan Gilligan, who has to let that one go. Cookie behind is on soft tyres as well, and will presumably have much superior traction to the Renault. Fastest lap of the race from Kana.
Yep, that is taking at least a point off Ice Kid Man at the moment.
So Hercules has got the gap down to 9.5 seconds. Cookie has got through against Dan Gilligan.
I think that was T-Keg's front wing off the Wall of Champions there. I've seen something flying in Cookie's front mirror. Nope, it is potentially the other Ferrari of Van on base. I'll tell you in a few moments.
No, Van on base is okay. Yana 5, I'll have a look. No, he's fine as well. It might just be a backmarker's wing. We've got one of the Mercedes in that area of the track. Hummersep coming around now, and it is Hummersep who's missing that bit of wing.
There we go then. There we go.
So realistically, Hercules and T-Keg, they need Ice Kid Man in the wall. And they need Ice Kid Man in the... No, well, probably a safety car maybe. We're running out of time for that. They need that Williams to do exactly what he did in Belgium. The gap at the front now is just sneaking beneath 9 seconds.
Yeah.
But Hercules just with too much to do.
Having a wee look at Evil Steel. We'll see if he can get a take over in the next. Oh, Evil Steel, a bit of a wobble there. We'll give Mahoney the chance to close up the gap into top 10. See if he gets him down the straight to the hairpin, or if he'll get him on the casino straight. I imagine one or the other being on the slightly fresher tyres.
Dan Gilligan, 22 laps now on those medium tyres. If ever someone was just goal hanging for a safety car, it was him.
Yes.
Here comes Mahoney on Evil Steel. He's having a look to the inside. He's using all of his overtake. And Mahoney gets that move done. Nordy now sets the fastest lap of the race for McLaren.
Yep, on the soft there. Hercules does have it down to roughly about 8.5 seconds, but you just imagine that he's not going to have the actual time left on track.
So Yana 5 is back on the podium now. Because Van on base has 3 seconds of penalty, that is 9.2 seconds behind. So Iana still on for that P3. Gap at the front now about 8.5 seconds, but we are not making up that time anywhere near quickly enough.
No. And apart from the one wobble, as you said, I believe it was in Belgium, Ice Kid Man hasn't failed to finish a race, am I right in saying?
You have to say... And I don't want to put the commentator's curse on him, but he is the driver of all of them who deserves the championship. He's the fastest driver in the division. And there's been occasions where Hercules and TK and a couple of others have been able to challenge on the day. But ultimately, Ice Kid Man is normally at the front of this field.
whether it's qualifying consistently with a first or occasionally having it stolen and finishing second, but I think he's probably got 75% of qualifications first place, turning that also into race victories once King Bart left, who I know is in the chat as well. Ice Kid Man has potentially been a class above, you know what I mean, a group of runners just behind him.
We've got Daft and Connor having a fight on the circuit for P13. These two, Connor with 9 seconds of penalty, so this one very much just for pride at this stage. It's relatively old softs, actually, at 5 laps against relatively old mediums. But Connor does look to be the faster of the two drivers at this stage of the race. As we come through turns 3 and 4. And 5 and 6, and Connor not quite close enough to have a dive into the 7-8 chicane.
And basically, I think we are now out of safety car jurisdiction as well, coming into lap 33. I don't think we can have a safety car at this stage either.
Yeah, I think we're past that point now. So, I mean, you know, even if it's not a safety car, Hercules could still live with Ice Kid Man being in the wall with 3 wheels. But we specifically need Ice Kid Man to be the car that crashes if anyone wants to stop him.
That sounds very shifty there, Harringzord. If anybody on track.
Connor not able to get close enough to the back of this Haas. Dan Gilligan 24 laps now on the medium tyre.
Still hoping for that safety car, Dan.
Is that a 1 stop? It's a 2 stop, but he's on the long way. Connor slightly late on the brakes, not late enough on the brakes into turn 1. But this, the sister Renault is going to be... He's got 10 seconds to Jock James, but if that thing doesn't cross the line with a puncture, a la Lewis Hamilton in Silverstone last season, I would be amazed.
And Ice Kid Man still driving perfectly at the moment.
The gap at the front is 7.5 seconds, so Hercules is catching, but he's not catching quickly enough. And T-Keg is just nowhere now.
Well, the Ferrari double stop and stack really did not help T-Keg whatsoever, especially being the Ferrari waiting for the one in front to complete their tyre change.
Oh, and...
Okay, man, we're across for the second last lap.
Yeah, lap 34, beginning for the race leader. Hercules is about 7 seconds behind now. But it doesn't matter, really. This is still, I mean, he's just cruising home, is the Williams driver. Got a lap car of Evil Steel ahead of him. Hercules continues to be 7 seconds behind. But as it stands, T-Keg will lose 15 points. Because he's not even close enough to challenge Van on base for P4. And a bit of mental math tells me that gap is going to go to 24. And T-Keg must win the final race. And has to hope that Ice Kid Man retires.
Yes.
Or that Ice Kid Man finishes 10th and T-Keg wins the race with fastest lap.
Yeah. As Ice Kid Man comes through the Wall of Champions for the second last time.
Yeah, the Red Bull will have been distracting, but it was okay. I think Nordy has passed Jock James somewhere. And Dan Gilligan...
Still fighting it out.
I mean, presumably Dan Gilligan will be playing Dirt Rally now, not F1 2020.
Dan Gilligan will be crossing the finish line on 4 rims with no tyres.
26 laps on the mediums. That is looking particularly slow. Nordy's catching him at a rate of knots. You can't really tell if one of those things is punctured, but it's not going very quickly, is it?
No.
And Nordy's going to drive. I think he might have a puncture. I think Dan Gilligan might have a puncture here. He's going so slowly.
Ice Kid Man
he's going to continue.
Up the Casino Straight for the last time here.
Well, the champion-elect, certainly, Ice Kid Man. It's going to take a disaster in Silverstone to stop him winning the Division 5 championship now.
I mean, you could basically go around this last corner at 20 miles an hour and still have time.
Ice Kid Man crosses the finish line and wins once again in Division 5. It was so comfortable for him today. Hercules is a comfortable second place.
Yeah.
And we're looking at Iona 5 coming out of the final corner. Van on Base caught up a lot, and Iona 5 is now not safe for that podium. We've got to keep an eye on the Ferrari in the background as Van on Base steals third place by a tenth of a second.
Wow.
To deny Iona 5 a first podium of the season. TK crosses the line in fifth and has it all to do. Well, he has to win. He must win in Silverstone.
I'm just seeing if Jock James has the chance to catch up on Dan Gilligan, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like Dan Gilligan will get across in eighth.
It's an excellent sixth position for Cookie, actually, who made up 8 places, kept himself out of track limits penalties today. Very good drive from Cookie from the back of the field to P6. Dan Gilligan gets some points on 28 lap old medium tyres. What an excellent effort that is. He finishes 9th because of his track limits penalties. But that is commendable, to say the least.
Well, yes, it was certainly a race of excitement, but not the dangerous excitement that caused any safety cars, which a lot of people were hoping for or looking to see.
Ice Kid Man wins today, as he has done so often this season, more than anybody else, and realistically, the driver that wins the most races, you'd be hard-pressed to say they don't deserve to win the championship. Hercules is out of the running now. He is more than 26 points behind going into the final race. T-Keg, who finished 5th today, will be 24 points behind with 26 available in the final race. Ice Kid Man with one hand and another 4 fingers on the trophy. He's almost home.
Definitely, Ice Kid Man almost over that final hurdle. There is, of course, one more race in Silverstone still to go where T-Keg will have a chance, but you have to say it does look like the Ice Kid Man has cometh to the victory and the championship.
Mahoney grabbed a point for Mercedes. Nordy picked up the fastest lap of the race today. I think Cookie, that was an excellent drive from the Cookie Monster, actually, from 14th on the grid up to 6th. And he actually did get one lot of time penalties. I do apologise.
He did. Unfortunately, hard going for Iona 5, and huge improvement over the last 2 races, getting a great qualifying. And then sadly, picking up a lot of time penalties that's cost him a podium here.
11 out of 12 done. That's it for us. One more race to go in the Silverstone. And
the championship will be decided. It's not over yet. You never say never.
It's very much, well, I mean, it's going to take, it has to take a retirement from Ice Kid Man. And even then, he could retire from the race. And if T-Keg doesn't win, then he will still win the Division 5 crown. But it does technically go to the last race at the very least.
It does, which means that we've still got all to play for. We will see the chaos of Silverstone. You never know, it could be raining, it could be snowing. But the only one that we care about is if it's raining, because there's no snow in the game. But no, driver of the day, I would have to say as well that I would give it to Ice Kid Man for that. Again, just dominating performance from qualification to first, just the whole race, faultless again.
It's hard to go past him, isn't it? I mean, Van on Base deserves a shout out for going from 11th on the grid to the podium today. And Cookie deserves a shout as well for going from P14 on the grid to P6. So if I wasn't going to give it to Ice Kid Man, I'd probably give it to Van on Base actually today, with an excellent drive from outside the top 10 onto the podium. But I'm afraid that is it for us. We have got one more Division 5 race to go. I can see the tears streaming down your face.
What are you all going to do next season? What are the viewers going to do next season? What division are we going to cover? What's going to happen? I see petitions to keep Division 5 together just so that we cast them.
I mean, you know, we got a race to do next week, but there's also the series finale of Line of Duty next Sunday, so I've got a decision to make. Now that was a quieter one again. The last two races, actually, from Division 5's point of view, they've never quite recovered the heights of Belgium, have they?
No, but you know, there's always next week. That's what I would be saying.
One to go around Silverstone. Thanks once again to McNugget for his co-commentary today.
Thank you.
We'll be back, of course, in a week's time with F1. We'll be back tomorrow with some Civ 6, but that's a different story entirely.
Shout out to Elliot for raiding us with 15 earlier on from the Division 3 race, I believe.
Yeah, and Dreamify as well. Sending
Dreamify.
the G-Man 1 recap from Rebel over to us as well. So, guys, thank you for tuning in. One more race to go in Silverstone in a week's time. And this time next week, there'll be no more Division 5 for you.
I know, there'll be no more Zord and Nugget for who knows how long.
How will you sleep at night?
Yes.
Probably quite soundly.
Me and Harringzord may as well say we will happily commentate on anything else you'd like for the right price.
Yeah.
I know Arif had to pass on his exams being co-commentated, but feel free to offer us a deal. We'll always listen.
Well, there we go. Right, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you in a week's time for the final race from Division 5.